Hello and welcome. My name is Nancy Pianabong. Today I'm doing a presentation on vitamin D in the immune system for Principle of Biology 2 led by Dr. Michael Pearson in Northeastern University College of Professional Studies. In this presentation, I will be covering what is vitamin D, what is the benefits of vitamin D, the role it plays in the immune system, symptoms and side effects of vitamin D deficiency, and prevention and treatments. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. There are many forms of vitamin D. The two major ones are vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. Vitamin D2, argocalciferol, is produced by plants. Vitamin D3, chloricalciferol, is produced in our skin when the sun hits it. Vitamin D3 is better at raising levels of calciferol. Calciferol is made in liver. It promotes renal resorption of calcium, increases intestinal absorption of calcium phosphorus, and increases the calcium and phosphorus mobilization from bone to plasma. Vitamin D is stored in fat cells. In order for it to be used, it has to be converted to vitamin D3. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's more of a steroid hormone, similar to estrogen, testosterone, and cholesterol. Vitamin D does not refer to a single nutrition, but a group of natural steroid chemicals. There are hundreds of different steroids found in plants and animals. Because of its hormone structure, vitamin D gets cells ready for the other important hormones to do their work. It helps the body absorb calcium, iron, magnesium, and zinc in the intestine. It helps reduce cancer risks. Commonly, breast and colon cancers have been found to be the most closely related to lack of sunshine. Men, too, are at risk. More research found that men who lack sunshine had a higher incidence of cancer and die sooner as a result. It helps promote cellular differentiation, so cell becomes specialized in order to perform a specific function rather than reproduce exactly the same. Decrease cancer cell growth. Stimulate cancer cell death. Reduce tumor blood vessel formation, which reduce the tumor's ability to live. It helps support healthy bones. Vitamin D, along with other nutrients like calcium and hormones, help rebuild bones as they break down. Not enough vitamin D can cause the bones to become thin, brittle, or misshapen. Osteoporosis is often associated with not eating enough calcium-rich foods. But a deficiency of vitamin D also contributes by reducing calcium absorption. It helps reduce Alzheimer's risks and lower Alzheimer's-related fractures. Helps decrease cardiovascular disease. Vitamin D deficiency increases the risk of heart disease, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, and chronic blood vessel inflammation associated with the hardening of arteries, which can cause obesity, diabetes, and atherosclerosis. Vitamin D increases an enzyme called REN, which regulates the amount of blood and other fluids that go through veins and arteries. REN also balances the amount of arteries constrict. Low levels of vitamin D and REN can negatively affect blood pressure. It helps protect against diabetes. Both abnormal vitamin D levels and abnormal glucose levels are associated with high inflammation. It may be that vitamin D deficiency increases inflammation, and this inflammation is detrimental to the ability to secrete insulin. Vitamin D supports healthy pregnancy. For newborns, it lowers the risk of low birth weight, rickets, hypoglycemia, asthma, and type 1 diabetes. Vitamin D deficiency during pregnancy also affects neurodevelopment in the baby's immune system, even though it shows up decades later. A study shows that vitamin D helps a woman get pregnant in addition to maintaining normal pregnancy, supporting fetal growth through the delivery of calcium, secreting placental hormones, and reducing inflammation. Vitamin D deficiency may contribute to the development of some diseases, including schizophrenia, autism, respiratory tract infection, newborn seizures, heart failure, atherosclerosis, brain tumors, epilepsy, and viral pneumonia. Vitamin D helps boost our immunity. It reduces the likelihood of us getting the flu. Vitamin D also helps prevent all types of autoimmune diseases. It is a natural immune modulator, regulating many immunological functions affected by inflammation. Low vitamin D may contribute to chronic inflammatory illness, including lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and cirrhosis. Vitamin D prevents autoimmune diseases, including multiple sclerosis and inflammatory bowel diseases, because it helps activate T lymphocyte and cytokine cells. It helps combat depressions. Low levels of vitamin D has been linked to seasonal affective disorder, or known as SAD, and depression. Vitamin D can affect the functions of our two happiness neurotransmitter, dopamine and norepinephrine. As mentioned in lecture, estriol memory may play a role in all of this. Historically, sunlight is associated with food. It meant that food can grow, and conversely, not seeing the sun often meant food was becoming scarcer. It also helps reduce rheumatoid arthritis. Vitamin D plays many roles in our immune system. It promotes antimicrobial response to pathogens, macrophages. It regulates the maturation of antigen-presenting dendrite cells, controls and regulates T cells and functions, binds to the VDR to regulate gene transcription. On the surface of immune cells are vitamin D receptors, or VDR. This diagram shows 125-OH2D suppress proliferation of certain infectious pathogens in human monocytes. Endocrine synthesis of 125-OH2D also induces expression of gene for LL37, which encodes a protein known to be involved in promoting intercellular killing of bacteria. Macrophages, such as this one, and dendrite cells can become antigen-presenting cells, which present pieces of the bacteria or proteins of it to T cells. The adaptive immune effects of vitamin D are not restricted to affected T cells and also include actions on suppressors or regulatory T cells TREG, a group of CD4 plus T cells known to inhibit the proliferation of other CD4 plus T cells. Not only 125-OH2D can stimulate TREG development directly, it may also have effects on antigen-presenting cells. The ability of 125-OH2D is to induce an immature dendritic cell phenotype that will promote tolerologic TREG activity on CD4 plus T cells. Vitamin D's act to maintain a balance between inflammatory T helper cells 1 and 17 cells and immunosuppressive Th2 TREG. In this diagram, calcitriol, the active form of vitamin D, binds to the VDR proteins in a particular region of the DNA, which is the vitamin D response element. In this region, it regulates the activity of vitamin D response genes. Some of the stuff it helps regulate is blood pressure, hormone secretion, mineral homeostasis, and bone metabolism. It regulates phosphate and calcium metabolism, in turn regulate the building of bones. This is a diagram of how vitamin D metabolizes in the liver and the kidney. The liver converts vitamin D to 25-OHD. The kidney converts 25-OHD to 125-OH2D and 24-25-OH2D. Control of the metabolism is exerted primarily at the level of the kidney, where low level of serum, phosphorus, calcium, and fibroblast growth factor 23 and high levels of parathyroid hormone flavor production of 125-OH2D, whereas high serums levels of phosphorus, calcium, high growth factor 23, and 125-OH2D, and low levels of PHTH flavor 24-25-OH2D productions. Vitamin D is so important that most of our cells in the immune system has the mechanism to convert the inactive form of vitamin D to the active form of vitamin D, which is also known as calcitriol. Here we have a diagram of a few human organs that uses vitamin D and a few functions of vitamin D in the immune system. Now that I have gone over the importance of having vitamin D in our system, let's go over what happens if we don't have enough. Vitamin D deficiency, or VDD, can cause autoimmune diseases such as endocrine diseases and metabolic syndrome. The endocrine system includes 8 major glands throughout your body, such as the thyroid gland, pituitary gland, adrenal glands, and pancreas. This system affects growth and development, metabolism, sexual function, and mood. Endocrine diseases include acute autoimmune thyroid disease, diabetic mellitus, which is type 1 diabetes. Metabolic syndrome includes obesity and type 2 diabetes. VTD can cause cognitive disorder such as Alzheimer's disease, anxiety disorder, dementia, depression, Parkinson's disease, seasonal affective disorder function, or known as SAD, and schizophrenia. VTD can cause cancer. The most common type of cancer is breast cancer, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, and non-melanoma skin cancer. VTD can cause cardiovascular disease such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, where the blood has too many lipids such as cholesterol, myocardial infarction, peripheral vascular disease, and stroke. VTD can lead to metabolic bone disease, which can lead to secondary diseases, which can lead to hyperparathyroidism, osteomalacia, osteopenia, osteoporosis, postmenopause, rickets, bone fragility, increase of PTH, moderate elevation of PTH may promote insulin-resistant weight gain, hypertension, and left ventricle hypertrophy. VTD can cause allergies, atherosclerosis, arthritis, asthma, autism, bursitis. It can cause fatigue syndrome, chronic pain, cystic fibrosis, erectile dysfunction, fibromyalgia, fungal infection, gout, and high pressure. It can cause host graft rejection, infertility and PMS, inflammatory bowel disease, kidney failure, lower respiratory infection, lupus, multiple sclerosis, periodontal disease. VTD can cause preeclampsia, preterm birth, psoriasis, respiratory tract infection, sepsis, sleep apnea, and TB. Symptoms of vitamin D deficiency are anxiety disorder, depression, SAD, changes in mood, restless sleep, exhaustion, fatigue, headaches, poor concentration, decreased endurance. Symptoms of vitamin D deficiency also includes brittle bones, general muscle pain and weakness, muscle cramps, joint pain, chronic pain, weight gain, high blood pressure, unexplained infertility, bladder problems, constipation, or diarrhea. People who are at high risk of being vitamin D deficient are people who has AIDS or HIV, people who are overweight or obese, people with darker skin, the elderly, women who are pregnant or breastfeeding, their nutrition are being depleted, people with poor gut health, people with poor liver and kidney health, people that had heart failure and stroke. People who already have VTD are people with Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, people with schizophrenia, dementia, poor liver and kidney health, and people with lower respiratory infection. Among children, because of this, they get other infections. Treatments of vitamin D deficiency includes UV light therapy, taking vitamin D3, use lower SPF or don't use it at all, eat food with vitamin D. If you're overweight, exercise, I guess. Increase exposure to light. That means go out more. This is a list of vitamin-rich food. If you like, pause the video and take a look. This is the daily recommended dosage for vitamin D3. Feel free to pause the video to read it. This is the recommended daily vitamin D limits from newborn to 9 years and older, pregnant and lactating women. Like most things, having too much of anything can cause harm. It can cause hypercalcemia, which is elevated calcium in the blood, causing weakness, confusion, constipation, loss of appetite, and a painful calcium deposit. Hypercalciuria, which is excess calcium in the urine. Hyperphosphatemia, which is elevated phosphate levels in the blood. Over the long term, the elevated blood level of calcium can lead to vascular and tissue calcification, which can lead to damage to the heart, blood vessels, and kidneys. For fungal infections, there are remedies that could be used. Like bacteria, prolonged exposure to the treatment can cause the fungus to build up tolerance towards the drug. It is better to prevent than treat for any illness. Prevention and maintenance. Maintain a healthy weight. Monitor and treat any medical conditions. Use recommended vitamin D supplements. Talk to a doctor about changes in health and get tested. I would like to take a moment to share my personal experience with vitamin D deficiency. I always considered myself healthy and never went to the doctors unless I was very sick or had to for some reason. It started over a year. I was always tired and depressed. I would sleep 10 to 14 hours at a time and still be tired. I always been a very slight sleeper. I just moved in a student housing apartment, which I regret so much. It was filthy, and 3 of my 4 roommates were noisy and slobs. I blamed my tiredness and depression on them. I would start to get lightheaded when I went to class because of the bright lights. And they bothered me so very much. Sometimes I would just feel like I would faint. I had a hard time reading long paragraphs. I would have to read one paragraph 4 to 5 times just to understand it. And even then, sometimes I don't get the full extent of it. I always been good at math, except this semester for some reason. For mathematics for technology, I had the highest score for every assignment I did, including the tests. During the finals, I couldn't concentrate for the last 2 questions. I broke down and started crying. I was told I shouldn't worry. I had the highest grade, even if I didn't take the finals. I would still have gotten an A. The next thing I knew, I cheered up and gave my professor a hug. He looked at me funny, of course. Then he said to me, I could be bipolar and not know it, because his wife is bipolar. I didn't know why I was always late for his class and other classes. I would get plenty of sleep. It started to get worse throughout the year. I have gotten to a point where what it would normally take me half a day for maybe an essay or even like a few hours, it would take me about over a week just to do, which is ridiculous. And I would have to take frequent breaks in between because I had get memory box for some reason. Something happened, so of course, right? I never go to the doctor. Something happened, so I went to see my doctor. I got a blood test. It came back that I was vitamin D deficient. It explains everything. I was prescribed 50,000 milligrams of vitamin D a week. Every time I took it, I would get a burst of energy, but then I was always feel this high. It was too much for me. And 1,000 milligrams a day, but on those days when I took it, I'm still always tired. It was not enough. It was very hard to find a balance, but I just stuck to what my doctor prescribed and just took it according to what she prescribed. About half a year later, my primary care doctor said that my levels were okay and I could stop taking it. So I have been stopped taking it for maybe like a month now, a month and a half. But I still, sometimes I get really tired, and I feel like I had to have that vitamin D just in case it comes back. Then it's like it's not my best semester, but I am bouncing back. I'm still a bit slow, but I'm getting there. I'm doing this assignment, right? Let's see. I feel like I was not okay. My symptoms were constipation, which was really, really bad. I would be constipated sometimes up to 2 weeks at a time, and I never had that where 2 weeks where it's unheard of, you know, and I would get that often. It was very painful. I would have to take some sort of laxatives or some sort of cleanser to help myself. I had depression. I wouldn't get up in the bed. I just didn't want to. And then I had thoughts of suicide. Every little thing, I cried uncontrollably. I just sobbed. My eyes were red all the time. I had short-term memory, which added to my depression and stress. I had poor concentration in school and everything. I would get migraines at home, in class, and when I go to the stores like Walmart because of bright light, I would get nausea. I would get stress and anxiety about every little thing. So I recommend definitely get checked often. Go to your primary care doctor. Don't be like me where it's like, okay, I'm fine, I'm healthy, there's no visible symptoms, you know, and just think that there's an excuse for everything. like, oh, it's my neighbors or my roommates. No, don't do that. Go see your doctor if you suspect something. If you recognize symptoms of this for somebody else, bring it to their attention because they might not know. Like me, I didn't realize that. And according to a study, 42% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. That is a lot. So I would say, please go and be healthy. If you'd like to learn more about vitamin D and the topics on vitamin D mentioned, check out these resources. And remember, be happy and stay healthy and get some sunshine.